absolutely stunning. I also thought it was interesting because there was graffiti from like the 1800s. There's just like where people have scratched their names in.
Oh my gosh.
And there's literally like Timothy loves Mary 1879 or something.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 193.
Yes, and tomorrow you're going on your own trip without me.
Well, for work.
Yeah, I know. Chris is going to a conference in Florida.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Which,
maybe you'll sneak a little beach time in.
I mean, between here and Florida, right now, there's like a 10-degree difference in weather, which is shocking for this time of year.
Yeah, we went for a hike yesterday, and it was warm.
I was in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's just weird. Usually it starts like snowing at this time, but it'll probably start snowing in like a week.
There we go.
Yeah.
Always something to look forward to.
Always something to look forward to.
Yeah. What are you going to do while I'm gone?
Work, I guess. Well, mostly just working and hanging out because you're gone like midweek. So I'm just kind of chilling.
What TV shows are you going to watch? Guiltlessly.
Love is Blind. I think the end of that is hopefully coming. I think the season finale is, I think, on the 9th this week.
Oh my gosh. And I'm going to miss that?
Yeah.
Great.
I got to finish Dairy Girls. That's another good one.
Okay. Not any of the Somebody Feed Phils.
No, I have to wait for you for those because you like those too.
I love that show.
Yeah. So maybe catch up on some shows, some reading, and mostly just like catching up on work because I'm writing a lot this week. In preparation for December's blog posts that are going to go live while I am at the Christmas markets with my parents. So that's mostly what I'm working on this week.
Cool.
Yeah. What was your highlight of the week?
Man, I would say dinner last night was pretty darn good. Like last night's like activities, right? You had friends in town. We went over to Little Italy. We did a wine tasting of wines from Campania, which I am not like if I think Italian wine, I don't often think of like that region. That's just on me. It's like nothing against the region, right?
It was good.
It was very good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we ended up having some wine, going to dinner, getting desserts. I made my own dessert sampler, which was wonderful.
They weren't samples. They were full-size desserts that you proceeded to eat.
Well, to me, it was a sampler because they all fit on the same plate.
Well, you do you.
Yeah.
I got a chocolate-covered cannoli.
I got a lobster tail, a
delicious.
cream puff, and a slice of pumpkin cheesecake.
Actually, that does sound really good, pumpkin cheesecake.
It was really good. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what you do this week, is you go over there and you get a slice of pumpkin cheesecake.
No, I'm good.
All right, well.
Yeah.
What
I'll
was
just
your
kinda
highlight?
Hunker down. My highlight, well, my two best friends came to visit, which I was really happy about. And we just had a lovely weekend catching up on each other's lives. And yesterday we went for a hike, and we went out to dinner last night in Little Italy here in Cleveland. And yeah, our dinner Friday night was also super good.
That was really good.
Yeah, we just had a really fun time. I feel like the whole weekend was really fun. It was good to see them again because I don't get to see them nearly enough since we
Agreed.
don't live in the same city. But yay! So that was it. That was my highlight. Do you want to just get started with today's topic?
Sure, we're going back to France.
Going back to France.
And you are going to walk us through everything that there is to know about, is it Avignon?
Avignon.
Avignon.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's a city in Provence in the south of France. Yeah, and it's most famously known as having the Pope's Palace because, fun fact, the popes at one time lived in Avignon during the 14th century due to a lot of unrest in Rome. And they were there for, it wasn't too terribly long of a time, but there were several popes that had lived there in Avignon, and then eventually they moved back to Rome. So that's what it's most famously known for. But it's also very close to like the Luberon villages, which I've talked about. It's a really beautiful town, and I don't know, it's just a really historical, beautiful town to go and visit.
Awesome.
Yeah, in the south of France.
Was this the first time that you had been this past trip?
Yes, the only places I had been to in the south of France was Marseille and Nice.
Okay.
Before this.
So what were your thoughts prior to arrival? Like when you were doing research, what made you choose Avignon? And then like as you were kind of like getting there and all of that kind of stuff, what was going through your mind?
Well, I had done like a ton of research before going, and a lot of people said to visit Avignon during a like Provence road trip, and I was like, okay, so started doing some research, found out about the Pope's Palace, and the Châteauneuf-du-Pape region, which basically means New Castle of the Pope, which is a wine region. So I knew there was gonna be some good wine because it's the Southern Rhone, and you have the Pope's Palace, and it's just this beautiful sort of limestone town that has cute little streets and markets and city squares, and it's just a quaint little place to go and visit, and it's a great place to base yourself to check out a lot of the towns in the surrounding area as well. So it's just a very beautiful place. It's a great spot to kick off your road trip. It's still a city, so there's still like a lot of great bars and restaurants and things, but it's certainly much, much smaller and less condensed than Paris. So or even Marseille or Nice or anything like that. So it's definitely a really great place to kind of kick off your road trip. My first thoughts when I got there, we went to the wrong train station. I did not realize that Avignon has two train stations. There is the TGV station that is like about 11 minutes outside the city center, and then there's the one that goes to the city, like the city center area. And we were renting a car from here because normally I'd be like, oh, great, you want to go to the city center and, so you can walk to where you're going. But we were renting a car and we forgot which train station we had to go to. And so we had to get an Uber to get to the rental car place to get our car. But I didn't realize that there are walls around the old part of the town. Like it was a fortified city, which was cool. There's city walls around it. It's absolutely lovely. Just a beautiful, beautiful town. It has, again, those limestone brick buildings, and it's along the river, and you have the Pont d'Avignon, and the Pope's Palace is gorgeous, and you walk around on these medieval streets everywhere, and like there's a clock tower in the city, and there's markets, like a market, and tons of really cool things. But another thought I had was we originally tried to rent a small car, and that didn't end up working out because the tire pressure light came on. So they gave us an SUV, a small SUV. And there are some tiny streets in Avignon. So that was a bit of a struggle, was the tiny, tiny streets driving in Avignon.
No parking on the streets, I'm guessing?
No, they had some. Where we stayed, we managed to find, they have a lot of like pay by app places, like I mentioned in the Driving in Provence episode.
Yes.
So we were able to just kind of stick our car there. And while we were in Avignon, we didn't really we drove to one place for like a little bit for the afternoon, but we pretty much kept the car there and then hung out in Avignon and did the wine day trip, like half day. But we weren't driving for that, obviously, since we were drinking. But it was very nerve-wracking trying to find parking the first time and going down this really tiny alley street. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to scratch this car. And it's a bigger car. So just word to the wise, try to get a small car if you can. But those were my first thoughts. Just, it was very lovely. Cobblestone streets in many areas, and it's just a cute place to go visit. But yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
So that's both thoughts prior and first impressions. It sounds like we kind of like merged them together, right? Mm-hmm. So how to get there, when to go, and then where to stay.
Yeah, so all the fun logistics. How to get there, it's only about a 2.5 hour TGV train ride from Paris. So it's not too bad. You just take the high-speed train and you're there pretty quickly. Again, choose the right train station so that you can get your rental car. You could drive from Paris. It's about 6.5 hours. Or you can fly into Paris again and take the train, or fly to Marseille, which is about an hour away, via train or driving. So it's not too bad if you want to fly into Marseille instead of Paris. When to visit, Avignon has pretty pleasant weather year round. I think it is a little bit more overcast and sometimes rains and can get a little chillier in the winter months, but definitely not like northern parts of France. But I would say April through October is a good time to visit. If you want to come for the lavender fields in Provence, mid-June through mid-July is sort of the peak time for that, when the lavender is usually at peak bloom right before they harvest it. So that's a key time to go. But I really enjoyed, we went in, I think October, early October, late September. Really great time to go. There was hardly anybody there. Like, it wasn't nearly as crowded, which I imagine it's quite crowded in the summer months because of the lavender fields. But yeah, I think April through October is a good time to go if you want pretty good weather and to enjoy Avignon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
where to stay too.
Yes.
I forgot I have to mention that. We ended up staying in a very cute Airbnb, and I will actually link my article that's going to be going live about my Provence road trip.
The article is going to be going live on France Voyager. Is that right?
On France Voyager. I will link that to the description of this episode, and that'll tell you all the places we stayed at when we were traveling. So we stayed at a really charming Airbnb. It was a 1-bed, 1-bath apartment in a cute little quiet area of town. So it wasn't too far of a walk to get to like the market and a lot of the main city squares, but it was a cute area. It was next to a church and beautiful kitchen. I just really liked the apartment that we were in a lot. If you want to stay in a hotel, a good mid-range hotel would be Aux Augustins. And then if money were no object, I would 100% stay at La Mirande, which was a beautiful luxury hotel that we ended up having dinner one night, but I'll talk more about that later.
Ah, okay. As soon as you said that you had dinner, the picture popped into my head.
Yes, because I've mentioned that before in another episode, but beautiful, beautiful hotel. Yeah.
Great.
That's how to get there, where to stay.
Any other logistics, or do we want to jump into the fun stuff?
Other than the warning about picking the right train station. I think let's get into the fun stuff.
Sounds good. So let's go through some things to do.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, the biggest thing that most people try to see when they're visiting Avignon is the Pope's Palace. That is where the popes lived in the 14th century. During that civil unrest and stuff going on in Rome, they actually owned and lived in this Avignon area. And they built this beautiful, beautiful palace. You can visit, I think it's about 20 rooms that you can visit in the palace. And a really cool thing is you get these things called istopads or histopads when you visit. And I really enjoy them because they have like a little headset that comes with it, and you can get it in whatever. There's like maybe 12 languages that you can get it in.
Wow.
Which is great. So we got ours in English, and it has this thing that you can hover over certain there's like certain things that you can hover it over, and it'll pop up like information about the particular room you're staying in and some of that history. And then you could hold it up and it'll show you what it used to look like back in the day.
Oh, that's really
Which
cool.
is really cool. So you just see a lot of people holding up these, like, they look like iPads, but these histopads, and just circling the room. And you can see like there's beautiful tapestries and paintings and, you know, these great fireplaces and elaborate furniture. And it looks very like, because now it's mostly just limestone, like bricks that you see everywhere. But it was really cool to see what it looked like back in the 1300s when it was in its heyday.
That's awesome.
I really like that because they had that in the Senec Abbey as well that I mentioned during the Luberon Day.
Yes.
So it was really neat to see that. And then it has like a little bit of information that you can read and listen to. Yeah.
Are the guides included in the price of the visit, or are the like the little what is it, the histopad, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Does it cost extra?
No, I believe that's included in your visit
for
your ticket. Yeah, so that was really cool. You go around, I believe you go to like the dining hall, you get to go to the Pope's bedroom. and like their private quarters. Obviously nobody lives there anymore, so it's just a museum. But yeah, you get to go and see a ton of really neat things while you're there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then there is the gardens that are attached there. That's a separate ticket, which I recommend. Or you could buy a combo ticket that includes the Pont d'Avignon, or it's also known as the Pont de Saint-Benazet, the gardens and the Pope's Palace. You can get a combo ticket with all of those, which I highly recommend because then it gives you access to the Pope Gardens, and it is absolutely beautiful there. And I think it's neat because they have like fruits and veggies and stuff kind of growing and other plants and things, but it's just very sunny. It's right up against the palace, and they have chairs that you could just sit and relax in, like sun chairs.
Oh, wow.
And there's like a little vending machine. So we got some sparkling waters and just like sat and chilled out there for a bit because it was so beautiful. And there was even a playground next to it for kids. And that looked like a really cool playground. And I don't know, the gardens were really neat. And then you get to go like up into a balcony area that overlooks the gardens, which are really pretty.
That sounds really, really neat.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I recommend going to visit the gardens. They're not very big, but they're really cute. And then of course there's the Pont de Saint-Benazet, or the Pont d'Avignon is what it's also known as. And this was built between 1177 to 1185, but it has been kind of destroyed and rebuilt and things over the years.
AD?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of had, between like the Crusades and occupations and also just the river flooding, like there's been lots of times where it's been like destroyed and rebuilt and things like that. But then a lot of flooding over the years has kind of caused most of the arches and stuff to collapse and things. So it's only halfway across the river that you really get on it now. But you can walk across that part. There's the Chapel of St. Nicholas that you can go to that's on there too, which is on it's kind of like a little portion of the thing, of the bridge. But I thought it was really neat to walk across the bridge. You get like a little headphone kit thing that you can listen to some of the history about it and like type in you type in the number and it'll be like, oh, this is the history and like all these different things, which was really neat. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful bridge to go and walk across. And it has like a cool gate, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. So the Pope's Palace, the gardens, and the Pont de Saint-Benazet. Get the combo ticket. I think it's like 17 euros. And you can see all of that, which is cool. Other than those three places, which are certainly the most iconic and what it's well known for, the Les Halles market I think it has about 40 stands selling food. There's fruits, veggies, cheeses, meats, breads, bakeries. There's even a little wine shop. It's an inside covered market that you can go visit. And that's a daily market except for on Mondays. And then on 11 a.m. on Saturdays, if you happen to be there, there are cooking classes or cooking demonstrations that you can also witness. But it's also just a beautiful market. We bought a bunch of cheeses and breads and some fruits and stuff there to make our own little cheese board one day. And outside, sometimes they'll have different things going on in that square, including we saw an antique market one morning that was there. Sometimes they might have some farmers market things, but this is something you can check out in the main square. And the market's really neat too because it has like, well, like we're close to one of the like coffee tea shops that we go to here. They have the little like wall with the plants on it.
Yes.
The market there has that in the front. So it's really neat looking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of in the square area, which is cool. I also really like the Place d'Horloge, and that is where the clock tower is, which is absolutely beautiful. It's a little clock tower in the square, and there's lots of great cafes and stuff along that square. There's a little, there's carousel and all that cool stuff to check out. That is where, or maybe it's not, sorry. I don't know if the carousel's in that one or not. I'm forgetting now. But it is the main square. It's where you have the city hall and the opera house, too, in this part of the town.
Did you guys go to an opera?
No,
Okay.
We didn't have time. I wish. There is an event that's like an art event in Avignon every year, and it would have been happening when we were there.
Oh my gosh.
In July, but sadly we couldn't go. So
Oh, no.
we didn't get to make it, but they had a lot of like live performances and cool things to check out during that event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's called the Festival d'Avignon. So that would have been cool to check out, but maybe next time. Another reason to go back.
There you go.
Now, outside of Avignon, because those are sort of the main things to do in the town itself, there are a couple little art museums and stuff like that, but we didn't really have time to check those out. What we did do, though, is about 30 minutes from Avignon is the Pont du Gard. And this is a Roman aqueduct that would carry water to Nimes, the city, which is a city also in the south of France area. And yeah, you get to go visit. It crosses the river, and it's so cool. I mean, it's just insane how well preserved it looks.
These pictures were stunning.
Yeah.
I think that this would be like the top of my list if I were to go here.
Yeah, it's just insane I mean, it's been around for since the turn of the millennia, situation.
That's
you know
wild.
What I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I forget what year exactly it was built, but absolutely stunning. You can go down to the river next to it. Some people are kayaking down there, which is neat. You can check out the river. There's hiking trails nearby. There's an ancient prehistoric cave that's close by that you can also see that's there. But the coolest part is that you don't get to climb on the Pont de Gard, obviously, because they're trying to keep it safe and preserved. But they do have a little bridge next to it that's like literally right next to it that you can walk along and see like this bridge really up close. Absolutely stunning. I also thought it was interesting because there was graffiti from like the 1800s. There's just like where people have scratched their names in.
Oh my gosh.
And there's literally like Timothy loves Mary 1879 or something like that. And
I was going to ask you how you knew that it was from the 1800s.
No, they put the year on it.
They would put the year. Okay.
Yeah. So don't do that. Obviously don't destroy ancient architecture. But that was kind of interesting to see. But it was also neat to just check out the bridge itself. There's hiking trails on either side. You could go up to the kind of where the top of the bridge is in an overlook. You don't get to get on top of it, but there's like an area that you could see some stuff. And then, going around the river, that's really neat too. A lot of people will go and have a picnic and, or some people are kayaking and things like that. And it's just absolutely beautiful to check out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Then, of course, we use the Luberon villages as a transition day for us, but some people actually stay in Avignon and do the Luberon as a day trip from Avignon. So you can do that, and you can refer to our Luberon Villages podcast episode that I did. But we checked out the Senanac Abbey, Gourds, Apt, Roussillon, I'm starting to blank, Bonlieu, and Cucuron, or some of them. I'm like blanking on one of them right now. But those are all in the Luberon podcast episode, visiting all of the villages and all the really cool things to do, because we stopped at a couple vineyards, we stopped in the towns, and we just really enjoyed our day exploring the Luberon villages. Even without the lavender fields, it's still well worth doing. And then the last one is a half-day trip to Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which means Newcastle of the Pope. We did a wine day trip that left from the city hall in Avignon, or the tourism office, sorry. And we got to go to a couple wineries in Châteauneuf-du-Pape and try the wine, which was delicious. I brought some home. And we also got to stop at the ruins of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, like at the actual chateau.
Oh, that's really neat.
Which was neat. And it was right at sunset, too. So it was absolutely stunning. So we got to do all that, go to a couple vineyards. And then we also stopped at a chocolate shop, which was fun. And then we came back. Yeah, then we came back, and then that's when we had our cheese tray. But those are kind of the main things you're going to want to do if you have a couple of days to spend in Avignon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we ended on one that you started talking about a little bit of food, a little bit of drink.
Mm-hmm.
Recommendations for where to eat and drink?
Yeah. Our first day, we went to Café Saint-Jean. It's like in one of the big squares. It's absolutely beautiful. The server was so nice that we had. He was so kind. And the food was really, really good there. We got some pasta, we got some rosé, all of that stuff. When in Provence, right? And we then went to Autrefois, which is just a little store. It's not really like a place to go, but it's a huge candy shop. They sell nougat. They have Calisson, which is a famous Provence candy that is made from almond paste and melon and orange peel / citrus peels and different things. And it's a very tasty candy. And it has an icing kind of cover on it. And I brought some home for you, and so you got to try some, which was great. We bought so many of those when we were in the south of France because all these candy shops sold them like crazy, and
It was
we
good.
ate a lot of them, and they're very delicious.
Yeah.
La Morande, like I was talking about, they have a restaurant called La Salle à Manger, and such good food. I remember I got some perch. I don't know. I got a fish and some risotto and a delightful chocolatey dessert, and we split some wine, and we just had a really good time at it was such a cute place. Like, you walk in and it feels like you're sort of in like the Downton Abbey salon or something, it's all decorated with like this turn of the century furniture.
The interior was stunning.
It's
and
so stunning.
So intricately decorated too.
It was, and it's dimly lit. It's very romantic that I'm going with my sister, but we had a lot of fun just sitting there and enjoying the decor, and just the food was really, really good. And then they have a bar too. So we went just around the corner, went to the bar, and they have like a sitting area that you can enjoy your drinks, which again felt like sitting in like the living room of Downton Abbey.
Were these post-dinner drinks?
Yes, we got a little post-dinner cocktail.
Okay.
Very good. I highly recommend La Morande. It's a little pricey, but well worth it. I recommend booking for the La Salle à Manger because they also have a Michelin restaurant, or a Michelin recommended restaurant, and that one's even more expensive. So we did the cheaper option. Still delicious. I remember they gave us some like cheese puff thingies, like the choux pastry cheese things to start our meal for free, which was great. And then they the whole meal was just delicious. Everything was great. I got like a delicious, mackerel. That's what I got. I don't know why I forgot that, but it was so good.
You mixed up Lake Erie perch with mackerel?
I don't know why perch came to mind.
Come on.
Sorry, I meant mackerel. Not perch.
Not perch. Hey, I like perch.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I just like mackerel
it's just
more.
No French mackerel in a Downton Abbey restaurant. Okay.
That's true. That's very true. Just the whole vibe there. We were like, both my sister and I were like, this is so freaking cool. It's also right next to the Pope's Palace. So you're walking down these cobblestone streets to get to this. It's also a hotel that you can stay at, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay there and money is no object, I would 100% stay there if I had the option. But we were a little bit more on a budget for it. So absolutely gorgeous hotel, gorgeous restaurant and bar, and right next to the Pope's Palace. So very scenic.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. They even have an outdoor dining area that you can see the Pope's Palace, and it's
oh my gosh.
It's so stunning. And that's kind of the main things. Obviously going to Chateauneuf du Pape for the wine, which are Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre blends for the most part. And Les Halles. Definitely make a picnic out of some of the food from Les Halles. We got a lot of cheeses, like typical French cheeses, like Valençay, Mimolette, Epoisse, Camembert, stuff like that, and just lots of fruits and veggies to enjoy with it.
Okay.
So highly recommend that.
What was your favorite thing about Avignon?
I think my favorite thing, I can't just be like, walking around was great. No.
Maybe the perch?
Not the perch. I actually think the bridge was really cool to visit, the Pont de Saint-Bénézet.
Okay.
Or Pont Saint-Bénézet, or otherwise known as Pont d'Avignon.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just a really beautiful bridge. It's very scenic. You're right over the river. You turn around, you have the view of the palace and the fortified parts of the city and the city walls, and it's so stunning. So the bridge is a really cool scenic place to go check out during your time. Like, don't miss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you about this. Let's say that there is a couple that have maybe 10 days to 2 weeks to do a French honeymoon, right? And they're probably going to spend some time in Paris, maybe go over to Champagne. Is Avignon on the list?
Oh, yeah. I would recommend, especially for your honeymoon. Like, go to Paris, go to a wine region there, whether that's Burgundy or Champagne or something. Go down to the south of France, go to Avignon, and then hit up the beaches and the Riviera and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that would be on your French honeymoon itinerary.
Recommend it. It was very romantic, especially if it's your honeymoon. You want to splurge. La Marande,
there it is.
Fantastic place.
Awesome.
But it's just a beautiful, romantic, dreamy-looking city. So I highly recommend visiting it.
Good.
Yeah.
All of that being said, you've been there once. Pretend it was with me.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be a place that you would want to go back to? Or would it be a place that if you were in the area sort of thing?
I would definitely go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. I know you haven't been, but I feel like we only had 2 days, and part of that was going to Châteauneuf-du-Pape. So really a full day and a half day. And I feel like we could have easily stayed there for 2 to 3 days to really dive in and walk around the city and enjoy.
Great.
So highly, highly recommend Avignon. It's such a beautiful, dreamy city. If you're going to Provence on a road trip, highly recommend adding that as your stop, maybe starting there and doing those day trips from there. And then, maybe ending at the beach. But
awesome.
Avignon is fantastic. I absolutely love it.
I can't wait to visit.
You can't wait to visit. But that is it for this episode. If you guys have any opinions or questions or anything, you can feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at WWHoneymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.